Hi, I'm jgylan, Director of Instruction at Royal Manchester Golf Links in Mount Wolf, PA. I wanted to do a toe hang study to see the effects that different toe hang putters have on the putting stroke and the result of the putt. Let's go. So toe hang is just what it sounds like. It's how much does the toe hang down when I hold the shaft parallel to the ground and not impart any force onto it. This one is nearly a 45-degree hang. See, the leading edge is hanging down about and making about a 45-degree angle with the ground. This one is what we call face balanced or slightly toe up. In this final example, let's call this one almost a full hang where the toe is nearly hanging straight down to the ground. There's even putters that are toe up. So, what does toe hang do to the stroke? Well, what I've always heard is the more toe hang you have, the more the face would want to open and close throughout the stroke. And also the more the stroke would want to arc. Let's find out if that's actually true. So how is toe hang achieved? A few different ways. Offset. If you place the shaft in front or behind the face. Type of neck. So if you have a gooseneck or a slant neck or plumber neck, long plumber neck, you're going to change the toe hang. Where the neck is placed into the head. If it's closer to the heel or closer to the center of the face or anywhere in between. And also, if you take weight away from the toe or heel in the head, you'll change the toe hang. So really, it's how much weight is on either side of the center of the face. If you drew a line straight down the shaft in that lie angle through the club head. I paired up with a friend of mine, David Frisch from Goodwood Golf Co, and had him build me 3 putters using the same head, same neck, same loft, lie, length, but only varied where the neck was placed in the head to change the amount of toe hang. All right, I'm here with David Frisch from Goodwood Golf Co, and he really inspired me to do this study because Dave's a putter maker. We were talking about fitting, and he asked me, what does toe hang affect in someone's putting stroke? So we wanted to kind of get to the bottom of it, and Dave's the one who built the 3 putters for me. Dave, tell us about the build and why you chose what you did.
So this is the first totally symmetrical design that I made. It's called the Tracer. I did this mostly for the lefties out here because a lot of people like the wide blade look. And just by having the head without a neck built into it already, I could flip-flop them. So they could be left or right-handed. Really simple design. The head itself, before adding a neck, is around 330 grams. And just really simple, clean lines. The bumpers here, they pretty much line up directly with the outside of a golf ball, so really easy to aim.
I thought it was really cool that it is a totally symmetrical head.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen that before. So you went with a neck for these that had 0 offset, right?
Correct.
So we achieved the toe hang by just putting it in different spots on the head.
Yes. So this would be the center shafted design. So all the exact same head, all the same finish, no alignment aids, 0 offset like you said. And I think they were around 360, 362 grams or so, all smooth face, so they all have the same feel. Just tried to eliminate as many variables as possible and keep the only thing being the toe hang by changing the position of the neck.
The only difference was the toe hang. Yep. I thought that was kind of unique too, because when we started talking about it, I was originally thinking like, okay, let's use a gooseneck, spider, and an answer style and an 8802. Yep. And we could have done it that way, but I think having it all very uniform, where the only difference is the toe hang, I think made it more apples to apples and kind of brought out the differences, just toe hang wise.
Right. Well, if you look at a gooseneck or you look at an 8802 or or even a standard plumber's neck or whatever. And one of the things we were measuring was how someone aims a putter. So if you keep them all the same, you know, somebody might aim something that has a full shaft of offset versus, you know, half shaft or a quarter shaft of offset. So by keeping them all the same and only changing, you know, the amount of toe hang,
Right.
I think that allows you to focus in more on what we were trying to find.
We got 27 random players to hit 5 10-foot putts with each of the 3 putters on Sand Putt Lab, and told them nothing about what was going on, just to try to hit quality putts with each putter and tell us their thoughts at the end. After the player hit their putts, I recorded 7 different data points. Face at address, face at impact, face to path, path, where it hit the putter face, how much the face opened at the end of the backstroke, and how fast in degrees per second was the face closing at impact. All right, let's discuss rotation. Some of the biggest takeaways from the rotation data were the full toe hang putter, which I would think would be the most open at the end of the backstroke, was, but not 100% of the time. It was 63%. It was the most open of the 3 putters at the end of the backstroke. However, 19% of the time, it was the most closed at the end of the backstroke. So nothing was every time. It was very dependent on how the human handled the toe hang or the effect of it. And the face balanced putter, I would think would be the most closed at the end of the backstroke. It was 48% of the time the most closed. So only half of the time was it the most closed at the end of the backstroke. All right, now let's discuss degrees per second closing at impact. I would think that max toe hang putter would be closing the fastest, or at least I'd heard that. Only 59% of the time was it closing the fastest at impact. 19% of the time it was closing the slowest at impact. And in Sam Lab, that's all relative to the target line. So in other words, I can close it fast with a left path or kind of a wipe across impact with my path, and it will still be closing relative to the target line, but not relative to the path. Let's talk face to path at impact. Our most toe hang, and I know I'm talking about this one a lot, but this is our most extreme example of toe hang. Our most toe hang, 48% of the time, was the most open face to path of the 3 putters. So that means that the toe is lagging behind and the player was saving it with their path diving to the left. Now, contrary to that, 41% of the time, with this same putter, the face was the most close to path. So I came up with the theory on this, and I'm going to call it sling effect. Does the player feel the toe dragging behind or feel heavy and then sling it closed into impact? Or do they not do it at all? Do they drag it forever behind and make sure the path saves it to the left? Let's take a deep dive. Let's go golf nerd dive on what I'm calling sling effect as it relates to this max toe hang putter. So this first example is the face balanced putter. And this is a fairly even amount of closing in the forward stroke. So if you haven't looked at a graph in Sam Lab before, this is the forward stroke only. The horizontal 0 line is 0 opening or closing. And as it gets down below 0, it's closing. You see the degrees per second indicated on the left side. So the steeper it's going vertically down, the faster it's closing. And the more it's going horizontally, the slower it's closing. As it gets above that 0 line, it's opening. So we would tend to see, hopefully, that a player is closing in the forward stroke. So they're opening some amount in the backstroke, and this is relative to the target line, not relative to the path. In this specific example, this player has a fairly even amount of closing down to impact. It's a pretty high rate of closure at 38 degrees per second at impact, but it's a pretty even line down there. And the small vertical line represents the collision of impact. So that small vertical line is impact, and what happened from where it bisects 0 down to that small vertical line, that's the forward stroke up to impact. So you can see that it's a fairly even amount of closing. This next example is also another putt with a face bounce putter, different player. Less degrees per second closing at impact, but still reasonably even. Now this next example is the full toe hang putter, and you can see that early on in the forward stroke the line is pretty close to 0 or fairly horizontal, and that's because the toe is not closing. So the face is closing very slowly, if not even much at all. And then as it's approaching impact, you see that line starts to go steeply down fairly quickly. So that's what I'm calling a sling effect. They're trying to sling the face closed. So that's a reaction that the player is feeling. They're feeling like the toe is dragging open as they're making their forward stroke. So when they're in transition, they're making that forward stroke, the toe is dragging open. And they're sensing that, and they're trying to sling that thing closed to get it back to closed at impact. So it's a 29.5 degrees per second closing at impact, but it happened very late or very close to the ball. Next example would be it's slung closed, but you see it's too late. So it has a little bit of stall in closing during the transition. And then it's actually closing slower as it's approaching impact, so that toe is dragging slower or behind. And then it's slung closed where it goes steeply down, but it's too late. Impact already happened. And then this last one, it's never slung closed, so the toe is always dragging open. It's only closing 4.1 degrees per second at impact. So the toe is never quite closed back to square by impact. In this example, the player was, I believe they were 1.8 degrees open at impact. I did think that the rotation was much more murky than I was ever expecting it to be. I thought we would get a very clear answer. And I think the answer is, it depends. It depends on the person, and it depends on what they do and how they react to, in that full toe hang example, how they react to feeling the weight farther out towards the toe than the shaft is. So that seemed to be the deciding factor, is what do they do with it? How do they react to it? Amount of arc. How much does the putter arc away from the target line? Remember, this is face rotation and this is arc. They're not the same thing. I didn't see much change in the arc regardless of what putter each player was using. But let's play a little guessing game and see if you can tell which putter is which with the same player putting. So if we look at these here, this is all the same player, and it's their 5 putts with each putter. Can you tell which putter is which just by looking at the shape of the arc? Give you a sec. Here's the reveal. So, I mean, you know, to me, they didn't look all that different. There's a couple kind of outlier looking strokes in there, and that, you know, the one at the very top, this was the order I had this player do them in. So that first one, they might have just been not used to putting yet. Let's try another set. So here's set 1, 2, and 3, all the same player, 3 different putters, the 5 putts with each. Can you tell which, just by looking at the shape of the arc? By the way, this is as if they're putting, this is an over top view of their arc, as if they're putting towards the left side of the screen. So these are all right-handed players. Are any of them arcing more, and can you tell which one is which? I could not tell. Here's the reveal. They looked fairly similar to me. Not very difficult to tell if any of them were arcing more or less than another. Here's another set of 3. Same player, 3 different putters. And the reveal. And finally, one more player. And the reveal. So it was very difficult for me to tell without knowing which putter was which. I just didn't see much difference in the shape of the arc, or how much they would arc the putter. So in interviewing the players after they hit their putts, one of the things that came up was weight.
It felt like it was just heavier.
Heavier.
It felt heavier.
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 The second putter felt a little bit lighter.
Heavier. The first one was the heaviest.
More heavier.
As mentioned, they're all the same head, they're all the same weight, but where the weight is distributed compared to the shaft would vary. So that's part of what a player is feeling when they're feeling toe hang. They're feeling where the weight is compared to where the shaft is. Softness was an answer I heard a few times.
First one, softer feel.
The second putter felt a little softer.
Yeah, first one felt better.
I don't know if it felt kind of wiggly through the strike, but it didn't feel as solid.
The last one truly did feel like I just had to do stuff with it.
I found it harder to control almost.
The heel shafted putter to me seems to have a feel where, just for me, where it almost feels like the heel's coming in, even though it's not, you know what I mean? And to me it swings through better than a center shaft.
That one really didn't feel too comfortable for me because I felt like I was twisting the head too much.
I felt, again, I changed. The arc went more with the toe hang.
I felt like it was easier for me to feel like it was on target.
I felt like I had to kind of hold the line, hold it a little bit more squarely.
So you had 3 different putters. What, if any, differences did you notice in how they performed?
I didn't notice any difference.
Notice
They felt
anything?
very similar.
Very similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't tell any difference now.
They felt the same.
I couldn't really tell.
Performance-wise, I don't think I noticed a whole lot of difference.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think there was some differences there, but it's tough to tell.
It's hard to tell.
They felt about the same.
The takeaway for me with this study was you can definitely feel toe hang. You can feel the putter wanting to twist in the one that had the most toe hang and feeling very stable in the face balanced. But remember, feel and real aren't always the same. So to determine which putter is best for you, I think you should really get with a qualified instructor, get on SamLab, figure out which one are you launching the straightest. That's the putter I want in my hand, the one that I can repeatedly launch down my target line. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important part of the mechanics for me. Which one can I consistently launch at my intended start line? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to see me do in the future. But as for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. So if anyone wants to find you, how do they find Dave from Goodwood?
Just my Instagram, that's where I post everything. It's Goodwood Golf Co. Same thing, website, goodwoodgolfco.com. And there's a feed right there from my Instagram too. I do have a Facebook. I just mostly post some pictures there, but pretty much everything's on Instagram and you can message me there.